Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Before you comment your angry stuff talking about how Disney didn't ruin Star Wars, please hear me out. Because I think they did, because of one scene. I think they ruined the entire franchise, the legacy of 8 films, in one scene. Now I want to clear up I don't hate these films. I actually love The Last Jedi. Yes, I said it. Shoot me. But I really like The Force Awakens as well. And I think it all loses it in The Rise of Skywalker. But we're going to start here talking about planning. I'm sure you've heard this about 100 times, but Disney did not plan out this trilogy. If they had a single idea of what they wanted to do, this could have been avoided. I know you'll bring up how the prequel trilogy is bad, and yes, I do agree, but the prequel trilogy knew where it was going and what it was doing. They wanted to show the progression of Anakin into the dark side again. Shoot me. But they did that, and I think they did it fairly well. We saw Anakin turn. They're not the best films, but we saw what they wanted us to see. And those films are very flawed, and I dislike them a lot, but the key there is that they were planned. Can a single one of you seriously tell me that when The Force Awakens came out, you thought that Rey was the actual chosen one? That she was supposed to kill the Emperor and not Anakin, and that she was the Emperor's granddaughter? Do you remember that moment in The Return of the Jedi where Palpatine is torturing Luke, and then Vader gives his life to save his son? What a great moment. But we'll return to this in a little while. If Disney had just given a planned storyline, an end goal. As I said, I love The Last Jedi and I still do, but I understand why so many people hate it, and I think Disney should have given Rian Johnson some form of an idea of what they wanted to do in the final film. That way, Rian could have been able to make his great film, but keep in mind, this is what Disney want to do with the last film. That way, Snoke may not have been killed, and he may have been revealed to be something better, more than just a throwaway character. Maybe Rey's parents wouldn't have been nobody. As much as I love the film, I have to admit it kind of screws over the trilogy. That being said though, The Rise of Skywalker still could have dealt with the events of The Last Jedi so easily, but for some reason, we got the film that we got, which was a massive disappointment. Character. The Force Awakens sets up some great characters. Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren. I love them all in The Force Awakens. In The Last Jedi, I love what they do with Luke. But this is where Finn becomes the most wasted character in all of Star Wars. He isn't anything in this film. And oh yeah, Rose was in this film. I forgot because she was in The Rise of Skywalker for like 70 seconds. And I think there are a few new people in The Rise of Skywalker that I don't care about, and I'm sorry, I don't read every comic and annual to know who they are and where they're from. While we're talking about characters, I'm gonna have a little subsection here. Romance. What is romance in these films? Han and Leia makes sense. It's developed and it works. Even Anakin and Padme, it's better than Kylo Ren and Rey. And Finn and Rose, that is one of the worst relationships I've ever seen on screen. The kiss between Kylo and Rey makes me so uncomfortable. Admittedly, Kylo Ren is the best character in this new trilogy. But that moves us on to the next section. The First Order. The First Order probably would have worked if this trilogy was planned out again. That's what it all boils down to. But we just don't feel threatened or intimidated by the First Order in these films. At least I don't. I mean, they're powerful, they can literally destroy planets. They should be so terrifying. Snoke in The Force Awakens, he was threatening. Even in The Last Jedi, for as little as he was in it, he was fairly threatening and intriguing. Then he just dies. And all the high members of the First Order just shout. They're not scary, there's just so much shouting and it comes across as childish, as if they're always having a tantrum 24/7. These are essentially meant to be leaders of one of the most powerful armies in the whole of the galaxy. And they just scream at everything. When did any of the generals in the originals scream when something didn't go their way? When did Darth Vader ever just start screaming when he didn't get what he wanted? Maybe I'm just forgetting. Maybe Darth Vader did shout, and we're not including his no at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, okay? That does not count. Maybe I'm just forgetting, maybe there were shouting generals in the originals, but it's not as much as they are here. And it doesn't make us feel like they're having a tantrum. Now let's go on to the final section of these little bits. The Rise of Skywalker. So before I write this, I'm going to go and rewatch the film. Next time you hear from me, I will have just finished watching. So this isn't going to be a review of this film, it's more of the effect it has on the new trilogy. I will review the film soon, after rewatching it just now, but this film basically tells the past 8 films to screw themselves, and I can say that comfortably. Anakin bringing balance to the Force and everything. No, it's actually Rey. Okay, you know these 8 films that we've known and loved? Yeah, no, forget it. It's all lies. Oh yeah, by the way, the Emperor never died either. He's been pulling the strings for the past 2 films. Where the hell was that set up? In The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi? Yes, when the Rise of Skywalker trailers came out and we heard the Emperor laugh, it was exciting. But at the same time, it was nerve-wracking for a lot of people that this would happen and lessen the effect of the originals. And yes, it did. For me, this film did what The Timeless Child did for Doctor Who fans. And I know that's a weird comparison to make, but yeah. Someone please tell me though where the Emperor being alive was set up in these films. This film is the main thing that makes this new trilogy feel unplanned. I guess those were just 4 of the things that make me dislike this trilogy, and it's just a prime example of why you need to plan, not just for filmmaking, but for anything in life. I strongly feel it all boils down to if Disney had set out a plan, given Abrams and Johnson guidelines, while still making their film guidelines for an overarching storyline, we would have been okay. I don't hate this though, and I'm sure there will be a time where I come to praise these films because I find a lot to like too. I'm going to say this right now though, I think The Rise of Skywalker is maybe the best looking film. I think it's genuinely beautiful, but visuals unfortunately don't make it a great storyline. And I have watched The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi more than I've watched any of the prequels. But as a trilogy, as something that is supposed to coherently tell a story over the course of 3 films, it has so much promise. The Force Awakens set stuff up so well and it was so exciting. But unfortunately, we ended up with the worst trilogy in the entire saga, in my opinion. And I have to say again, bear in mind that this is just my opinion. If this is your favourite trilogy or you like it more than the prequels, more power to you. And as always, this isn't saying anything bad about the filmmakers, it's just the product we received. I just never want anyone to think I'm throwing hate at specific people and going for an attack on them. I think everyone who's worked on these films is extremely talented to get to where they are, and I am in such awe that they can get in their position, and I hope to one day be in a position like that. And I just don't want anyone to ever think I'm throwing hate at the specific filmmakers. I'm just talking about my opinion of the product we received. And also, I'm quite scared of Disney Star Wars fans coming to me. This was my opinion, please just bear that in mind. I'm extremely upset though, because we had so much promise with Rey and Finn, especially in The Force Awakens. It had a lot of good setup, but Disney didn't plan it out, and I can't say that enough. They didn't plan it out. And the reason I haven't already done a review of The Rise of Skywalker is simply just because I haven't cared to talk about Star Wars lately. The originals, I'm not as big as a fan of some people, but I love those films. I can watch them all day, and I'll always happily talk about them. But even the prequels I don't mind talking about. The Last Jedi, I'll argue with people about all the time. My stepdad hates that film. I love it. The Force Awakens feels like a good setup film, but The Last Jedi feels like a secondary setup film, which is almost the opposite to what it should be. I mean, it's a sequel. I think one of the best ways to describe this trilogy is just a waste of good ideas and a load of good concepts, but not a lot of great execution. Don't get me wrong, there are some good executions in this trilogy, but it's just not a coherent story, and as many flaws as the prequels have. It was always heading to where we ended up with those films. Now thank you guys so much for watching. I like to switch up my content from time to time, mix it up, instead of just purely having review after review. These videos are longer and they do take longer to make, but I don't know, hopefully you enjoy nonetheless. Videos have been bringing me lots of joy lately and actually helping me with my mental health because of that. Thank you guys so much for coming by and watching, and anyone who has subscribed lately or watched any of my videos. And let me know if you agree with my opinions here and anything that I've said, and let me know your opinions of the Disney trilogy. If you disagree with my opinions, then let me know why. I'd love to hear them, as long as you do it in a civil manner. Please do not tell me that I'm wrong and insult my mother. I love to hear all of your points. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.